Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manikandan and I will be reviewing director Lokesh Kanakaraj's Leo for you today. So, without much ado, let's get on with it. First, the plot of the film. Leo revolves around an individual called Parthiban. Parthiban is an animal lover and he is also a restaurant owner. And he lives in a small town in Himachal Pradesh. He has a family. His family comprises of his wife Satya and their two children. Now, Parthiban is leading a very content life. But in this life, there is a small incident that happens. You can't call it a small incident exactly, but what happens is that it's actually a development that Parthiban didn't expect. So, what is this development? One night, a group of criminals who are on the run from the police actually look for business entities that they can actually loot, and they end up spotting Parthiban's cafe. The criminals actually enter the cafe, and at one point Parthiban is forced to kill them. He kills 5 of these criminals and is immediately charged with murder. Luckily, the courts see reason and they let him off, saying that these murders were committed in self-defense. And Parthiban, his wife Satya, played by Trisha of course, and all his well-wishers, including Joshi, played by Gautham Menon, heave a sigh of relief and think that they can move on with their lives. Just when they heave a sigh of relief and get on with their lives, they realize that what just happened was just one small problem, and that it's opened the doorway for a number of other problems to come in. What the other problems are, how Parthiban handles it, is what Leo is all about. Now that I've told you about the plot of the film, let me tell you what works and what doesn't in the film. First, the strengths. The first strength is the film's plot. It's remarkably fresh and refreshingly new. It's got very little in common with the other plots of Lokesh Kanakaraj's earlier films. Lokesh Kanakaraj's plot alone isn't the reason why Leo works. His treatment of the plot also is equally important. For instance, there's a fight sequence in the film in the first half. Ideally, or usually, you would expect pulsating music to accompany a fight sequence. But in this film, Lokesh actually has a wonderful rural folk song from the film Pasumpon playing in the background when Vijay takes on the baddies. He eventually even goes on to kill them. But then the mix is refreshing. A romantic love melody at the background and an explosive action sequence on screen. The combination isn't something that we've witnessed before very often. That's one plus. Now, it's not just this particular sequence that Lokesh presents to us. There are several such new ideas that Lokesh has experimented with in this film, and to his advantage, it's actually worked in this film. Then, apart from this, you have wonderful performances coming in from a number of actors in the film. That is another big plus this film has. For instance, Gautham Menon, who plays Joshi, the forest ranger, delivers an absolutely wonderful performance. You know what Gautham Menon can deliver as a director. But this film is a testimony to what Gautham Menon can bring to your film as an actor. The same can be said of Mishkin and also Sandy Master. Sandy, we've seen him dance and perform comedy, but in this film he plays a psychopath and he does a wonderful job at that. It's not just the supporting cast. You also have Trisha and Vijay, delivering what is expected of them. They deliver some neat performances, but more than Vijay or Trisha, it's the supporting cast who kind of hog the limelight. Now, apart from all of these people whom I've mentioned, there is also one other person whom I have to talk about. He's a little known actor, but who's actually been contributing immensely to every film that he's been a part of. The person I'm talking about is George Marion. George Marion's character is probably the most significant character of Leo, and the reason why it's significant is because this is the only character that connects Leo to Lokesh's cinematic universe. Of course, there is another connection as well, but then that appears forced, and that appears at the end and comes like an afterthought. George Marian's performance is just on the dot, as always. It's a sad thing that he hasn't been recognized and he hasn't got the due recognition that he so richly deserves. But I'm sure that at some point George Marian will be recognized for the fantastic work that he's done, not just in this film, but he's been consistently doing in all the Tamil films that he's been a part of. Now that apart, let me get to the portion that actually does not work in the film. Okay, or rather, let me put it another way. Let's talk about the weaknesses of the film. First, the film is a little too long for your satisfaction. In fact, there are phases in the film which kind of are boring, to be very honest. But then, to Lokesh's credit, he comes back with developments that kind of rekindle the interest in the film and then get you back hooked onto the plot. Having said that, another big drawback of the film is that the film has a lot of bloodshed. If you're not someone who's used to seeing blood being spilled on screen, then Leo might not be to your liking. Apart from these two factors, there is nothing else that actually stops Leo from being an entertainer. My rating is that, my understanding is that ideally Leo should just about satisfy the common viewer and must naturally delight you if you are a fan of Vijay. Until next time, when I see you with another review, this is Mani signing off. Adios.